Hi everyone, welcome to Bernina Club Online. I would just like to show you a little bit of heirloom today. So we are at September already, and if we don't start our Christmas sewing, we won't get them all done. So I have got you the cutest little stocking here, and the pattern you will get in your notes. So it's just a little stocking ornament pattern, and you can see the size of it after you've stitched it together with a 6mm seam. It shrinks it down a little bit. So you can either use 100% cotton fabric in a lightweight, which is the cotton lawn. And if you're going to use the cotton lawn, you need to do a couple of layers of interfacing to firm it up. Now that's also not enough because it is a very, very flimsy, fine fabric. So what we're going to be using today is we're going to be using spray starches. So we sell two different types of spray starches. One's the Terial Magic, and it's a fabric stabilizer, and the beauty about these is they are all non-toxic. And then the other one, which we sell the most of, is the Best Press, and it has got spray on there as well, so it's very, very easy to use, and it's very, very reasonable. So it comes in three different types. This is a scent-free spray starch and stabilizer. And then this one is a linen fresh, very, very nice smell. But my favorite is the lavender one. And especially if you iron your pillowcases, if you spray it with the lavender one, you get a beautiful smell on your fabric. But it's not too strong, and you can mix it with water to water it down. So these are the three main ones that we sell, but this is wonderful, and this is what I'm going to be using today. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is a very, very good little spray starch. So this stocking here I made with a product which is a cotton duck. Now when you buy the cotton duck, usually it's quite a stiff fabric, but this one was very, very, very light and soft. It'd be lovely for cushions, and this colour is oatmeal. So what I've done is I have just interfaced one side of my stocking, and then the other side I have left it uninterfaced. But if you want your stocking to be firmer, you could interface both sides of your stocking. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can curve your laces, cotton laces, and I'm going to show you how you can join your entredeux to your lace, or your entredeux onto fabric. And then I just put a bit of cotton lace as my hanger, and these could be on the tree. They could be made into a bunting from 1 to 24, as a advent calendar from 1 to 24, or they can just have a child's name on them, whatever you'd like to use them for, or a little gift in each stocking. I think they're very sweet. So today, instead of using the cotton duck, I am going to use the cotton lawn, just to show you how different it can look. So the first thing you need to do is you need to mark out your stocking, and I need to show you that when you do it, you need to make sure you have two opposites. Extremely easy to mark them out and have two going the same way. So this will be my back, and this one will be my front. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'll just move this spray starch over here, so you've seen that now. And I'm going to spray starch my fabric. So just a nice little bit, and I'm working on a table that's been covered in wadding, and it's also been covered in calico, so I can just use it as an ironing board. It's very, very good. So just iron your fabric and then give it a little spray, and then give it a good press. Make sure it's on cotton. Oh, everything needs to be on cotton. Don't hold it on for too long. And it makes a huge difference for you to work on your fabric. Okay. Now, the cotton lace, you will buy it at most stores, but you don't know if it's cotton lace or not. So in our store, we mark cotton on our boards when we sell them. So we have marked on made in France cotton, and so when people come to our store, they can straight away see that it's cotton lace. Now when you are going to be looking to see if it's cotton lace and you're not sure in your own store, cotton laces they have a pull cord in the top of them. So at the very top edge, that's why I'm wearing black today so you can see this, at the very top edge of your cotton lace, the extreme top edge here, there will be a pull cord, and I just cut down a little bit and you pull a cord and you see how it gathers up my lace? And that's how you know if it's 100% cotton lace, because it will have a little pull cord at the top, because all cotton laces do. Okay? The other thing you need to use when you're doing your heirloom is entredeux. Now entredeux is also French, and it means to join two pieces together. So I am going to use the entredeux to join the laces together, and I'm going to do the entredeux to join the lace onto the fabric, and I'm going to stitch onto black so you can see it very clearly. So entredeux can be any size. This is the main size that we use when we're doing heirloom sewing, and I'm going to now spray starch this as well as my laces. So I'm going to spray starch my entredeux, and I've got a piece of cream lace, and I'm going to do white stitching so you can see it. So entredeux and my lace. My table's going to be lovely in spray starch today. A little bit of spray starch, because the laces are very, very, very light to work on. So what I'm going to be using today is I'm going to be using 100% cotton thread, and I'm going to use a 70 needle. So the eye of my needle is going to be very, very fine. I'm going to use my number 10 foot to join them together, and I'm going to also use my number 3 foot, which is your buttonhole foot. So see how stiff my laces become? It's very, very stiff like a board. And my entredeux as well has become very, very stiff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut back one side of my entredeux, and it's extremely hard to tell the right and wrong side, so you need to determine that first. I can tell because I've done a lot of it, but when you first start it is quite hard to tell. So I'm going to cut right back to my entredeux, and the entredeux on either side is like a satin stitch, so it's not going to fray after you've cut it. It's not going to fray ever, so you don't have to worry. So you can see I've completely, if I hold it up to here, I'll take my tape measure off, I'm always wearing tape measures, you completely see that I've cut off one side of the entredeux. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to butt the right side of this lace, and I like the raised size as the right side, some people don't. So I'm going to butt these two together, and I'm going to zigzag. Now my zigzag needs to go extremely perfectly. That's a new word, isn't it? That didn't make sense. Perfectly in the holes. So I am going to zigzag in each of these holes and then go on to my lace. So my stitch length needs to be the length of these holes. So I'll show you how to do that. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put on your number 10 foot. So I know I use this a lot, but it's a very, very good foot. So the number 10 looks like the number 5, but unlike the number 5, the whole middle of the foot bar is gone. So this is why it's a number 10, and it's a foot for stitching in the ditch, for joining laces together, for sewing lace onto fabric. It's absolutely brilliant. So that's what we're using today. And I've got my 100% cotton thread on the top and on the bobbin, and I've got my 70 needle in. So I'm going to pop that on there, and I'm going to put on one side of the bar my entredeux, on the other side of the bar I'm going to put my lace. So I just put my foot down. Now what you're going to do is put your machine onto zigzag, and it will default to the machine setting. So you need to change that. So my default on this 380 Bernina is 3 width and 1.5 length. So I'm going to take that down a little bit narrower, and I will tell you exactly what I put it on when I've done it. So I've now put it on about 2.5, and I'm just going to see if that's going to be enough. No, I need to leave it probably out to 3. So I'm going to lengthen my stitch by 1 click. Now, so every time I do my zigzag, remember it needs to go in the hole. So once I've started, I then hold my thread, and I check that every time I come down it's going in the hole. Yes, it is. So once you've set it, it should be okay just to carry on sewing. So just keep them, the bar will keep them in the right place. So you've got one on one side and one on the other. And once you've set it, away you go. So I am zigzagging my lace onto my entredeux. So clever, and the foot just makes it so easy. Now, if you don't do it right, you will squash your holes of your entredeux and it won't work. Just trim that off there, and trim that off there where you begin. Always allow a little bit at the beginning. Now, if I hold this up to my top, you can see that the lace is joined on the entredeux, and now it looks like one piece of lace. It looks like it's always been there. Even though I've got the white thread, it's still very hard to see. It's very, very clever. Now, if I want to join this onto another piece of lace, I will do exactly the same thing. I'll cut my entredeux, chop, chop, chop. I'll just do half of it because I want to show you both things. So I'm going to cut my entredeux like that, and I will join another piece of lace to this. But if I want to join a fabric onto this, I do not cut this off yet. Okay? So I'm just going to, first things first, I'm going to show you. So I'll get my black bit of fabric, and I'm going to join my lace onto my entredeux onto my fabric. So I've got a piece here that I've already joined the lace on. Once again, remember, very hard to tell the right and wrong side of it. There's a little bit of black thread on there. Oh, it's actually gone into the lace. So the right and wrong side, I'm just looking, so that's the right side, this is the wrong side. So if you're joining your entredeux and your lace onto a fabric, you put right sides together. Is it? Yes, it is. Right sides together. You leave the number 10 foot on, but you put it on straight sewing. Now I'm going to put black thread, even though it's not cotton, I'm going to put black thread on the top so you can really, really, really see this, because this is quite important. So it doesn't matter because it's only a sample, but you would put cotton thread on. But I'm just going to put my polyester thread on here just so you can really see these stitches, because it's very, very fine. And this is how we join all our entredeux onto our fabrics. Love the needle threaders. Okay, so I am going to run the bar of my number 10 foot down where I would have cut my entredeux. So I'm just going to put the bar right beside my entredeux. I'm on straight sewing and my stitch length is on 2 because that's my default. Okay, so just have your threads there, and you're straight stitching right beside your entredeux, because we're going to be trimming this back in a minute. Once you start heirloom, you will just make so many beautiful things. It's very, very easy. There is my first run there of my black stitching, and it's right beside my entredeux. Okay, now my second lot of stitching, I'm putting my bar of my number 10 foot in exactly the same place, but I'm putting my needle position over one needle position. So just one click to the right, and I'm doing another row of straight sewing exactly beside, I keep using that word, right beside the row of stitching I've already done. And you can see the foot makes it nice and straight. So there is my second row of stitching. Okay, so now, and if I show you it at the back, you can see it in the white with the 2 rows of straight stitching. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this right back to that second row of stitching. So it is trimmed completely back to that second row of stitching. Now I'm going to zigzag over those 2 straight rows of stitching. So I'm going to take this foot off, and this is the number 3 foot. and I find it very, very good for this job. If you want to use a number 20 foot or a number 6 foot, that's fine. You use what foot you like, but I like to use this foot. Okay. So it's just the buttonhole foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit it, and the reason why I like to use it is because it's got, I'll explain that to you because that wasn't very clear. It's got the 2 bars running down the back, and the 2 rows of straight stitching can go in these bars, and I can zigzag over it really easily. So yeah, it's very good. So I am going to put it back onto zigzag, and this time my zigzag needs to be very, very fine. So it'd probably be right down to 2, but I'll tell you in a second, and quite close. So if I do, make sure your needle position's in the center. That could have been a bit tricky. So just position it so it's in the right place. So I've gone 2 width and I'm on 1.5 length, and I'll tell you if I'm happy with that in a second. I may go closer in my length, so I'm going down to 1. And I might just make my width a bit less. Needs to be very fine. Okay, so I am on 1.8 and 1 length. And I'm just zigzagging over my straight rows of straight stitching. I'm not going onto my entredeux. And I would never do it in black. It's just for your benefit, and you need to go very slow. Many years ago, we did a lot of heirloom sewing, and if we were doing pillows or something that we were doing a lot of, we would actually do this by the overlocker and do a rolled hem. But I had a lot better eyesight back then. I don't think I would attempt to do that now. But it was nice, but it wasn't traditional at any, it was kind of cheating. So it won't look very pretty, but it shows you clearly your zigzag has gone over those 2 straight rows of stitching, and you can see it a bit clearer there in the white. So now when I go to press it, this whole seam goes away from you. It's very, very clever. And you get this beautiful, beautiful edge. And that is how you join entredeux and cotton lace onto the bottom of a garment, like that. And if I turn it round and show you, that's the finish. It's very, very, very neat and tidy. Okay? It's clever. It's really clever. It's beautiful. Now, if I want to curve my lace, what I have is I have a board, and it's just a cardboard board that we use for our fabrics that we sell, and it's covered in calico, and I've got my little pull cord here, and I've pulled my lace so it's made a curve. And what I do is I use my wedding lace pins, so they're very, very fine pins, and I pin into the board and I shape my lace. And if it needs to have a little bit of a gather, it needs to have a little bit of a gather, because it's this is a wide lace to show you. So I just shape my lace like this, and then I put a little bit of spray starch, and then I give it a press. And so this one's going to have a little bit of gather in it, which is fine. Just move your gathers out so they're a little bit even, because I want it to curve. Take my pin out. Brilliant, because you can pin on there. Take my pin out, and that will stay curved for me to stitch. So now that is nice and stiff, and there's my curve. It's clever, isn't it? So you can curve laces, your cotton laces, very, very easily, because they're very, very fine. So if I was going to put this onto my, which is my front, this is my front here. If I'm going to put this onto here, there's my little curve, or actually I think it's that's the curve I'm putting onto there. Okay, So this will be stitched onto here. And I will, if I want to, I can do entredeux, or what I can do on this one is I can simply put my edge stitch foot back on, which I will do, I'll show you that. Simply put my edge stitch foot back on, and I can just zigzag straight onto it. But when you do that, what you need to do is you need to move your needle position over, because your needle position needs to be on the edge of your lace. So let me explain that to you. So I'll show you what we do. So I've just got my cotton thread back on, my number 10 edge stitch foot, someone's making their lunch, and I am going to move my needle position over so that I'm not going to be in the wrong position. So I'll just put my lace on and I just sit this on here. So if I've got it on my zigzag stitch, I'm just going to put my needle position one click to the left. That's all it needed, just one click to the left. It's amazing. Just so that it's not going to go onto the fabric too much. I just want it onto the lace. So I just stitch this on with a very small zigzag, leaving my number 10 foot on because it makes it nice and easy. Now obviously I will need to stitch this edge as well, because it's not going to stay like that. So I will just run this onto here, and this time I'll just run a little straight stitch right down the center, move my needle position to the left, and I'm running the bar along the edge of my lace, and there I can just hold that, stitch that on to hold. So you can have a lot of fun doing heirloom. It's quite addictive. It's very, very, very pretty, but very sweet when you're doing things like this. It's quite a wide lace for this, but it'll look fun. Now, what I can do, so I have sewn a zigzag and I've sewn a zigzag. So what I can do, if I want to, I can cut my lace out. So these are the Duckbill scissors that I use a lot when I'm doing lace work. And because of this little duckbill part here, it stops you from cutting your lace. So if I want to cut into here, my lace is up here, so I should trim my fabric first. I'll just trim my fabric so you can see it. Now, so how these work is you just simply get them into your lace. I'll just cut a little bit more so I can make sure I show you that I'm not going to cut my lace. Next minute. One moment, I need my other ones first, just so I can get in there. Right, now so the duckbill part sits on the lace part, and you can trim it back. So with this curve it's too tight. I'm going to have to just cut this through here first. It's just too tight a curve. I'm just cutting through the back of the fabric to get rid of that. So now I can trim this right back, and it's just too hard to do with normal scissors. So you just trim, and the duckbill sits on top of your lace, so you can't cut your lace. And you trim this right back. Very, very, very clever. And then I do the same to the other side. And I can then, whatever I put inside my stocking, you'll be able to see, or you can put a lining in there. And that is how you can do your sheer lace with your heirloom. So I'll stand up so you can see that. Isn't that clever? So you can do rows of those, and you can have them on a top. And it's very, very, very clever. So that is how you do your curved heirloom. And I'm just going to quickly show you where you would do it on a garment. So this beautiful, beautiful garment has had the entredeux sewn onto the bottom of the lace, and then now you can appreciate all the work, and then zigzagged all on. All of these pieces here have been pulled thread and curved and stitched on. This has been gathered and stitched onto the entredeux, then stitched onto the collar. and you can see all the work also in the bow. All of it's been stitched on, and entredeux everywhere, and it's hours and hours and hours of work. On the applique part, this is called shadow work. So this one isn't actually appliqued, it's shadow worked with thread on the back. Very, very clever. And even to the point that the buttons have been hand done with little rosettes. So heirloom sewing is very, very addictive. It's a lot of fun, but look what you can produce. All right, so that's a little dress I thought I'd show you. And what we've made a lot of are these cushions. So all of these have been done with heirloom as well. And the only part of this that isn't heirloom is the ribbon through here. We didn't use 100% cotton ribbon. We just did little pin tucks. Heirloom, joined these together with entredeux. This is just rouged fabric joined onto the entredeux. Lace, 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 entredeux and fabric. So there's a lot of pieces to it, but it is very, very, very easy. And with these pillows, we just make just soft needle dacron for the center, and then we just do a little flap, and you can do a button on the back. Or if you're giving it to a small child, just leave it because it's nice and soft. Don't bother putting anything on the back. And we've done some very heavy rouging around the edge, which probably needs a little bit of an iron, but very, very soft and cozy if you want to put it in a bassinet, or you want to give it to a child as a little cuddle thing. It's quite gorgeous for them to take to bed. So we didn't put the entredeux around the outside. In fact, this is one of the ones I have rolled edged. Shows you how I did cheat. So this would be about 27 years old when I started teaching these classes, and we did, when we were making a whole lot of these, rolled edge them, and you can see it's fine, but it's not traditional. So there is a little bit of an insight into how you would go about doing heirloom, and I will give you all the notes and the stocking design for you to have a play around with. So have fun with your heirloom. Remember, 100% cotton thread, 100% cotton fabric, 100% cotton laces, and a 70 needle. So I will see you shortly with our next part of Bernina Club.